Alright football fans, even after the flurry of activity surrounding the NFL draft, the league can still deliver unexpected bombshells in the offseason. That's exactly what happened this week, with a significant trade sending a talented but often controversial wide receiver from one historic franchise to another. A move that has implications for both teams involved and even factors into a major free agent quarterback storyline. On Wednesday morning, the Pittsburgh Steelers reportedly agreed to trade wide receiver George Pickens and a 2027 sixth-round draft pick to the Dallas Cowboys. In return, the Steelers will receive a 2026 third-round pick and a 2027 fifth-round pick. This deal closes the book on George Pickens' three-year tenure in Pittsburgh. Pickens was a second-round pick out of Georgia in 2022 and showed flashes of brilliance, accumulating over 2.800 receiving yards and 12 touchdowns, including a 1.140-yard season in 2023. However, his time in the Steel City was also marked by issues, including a reputation as a mercurial player with a pattern of concerning conduct, perceived unhappiness with the offense, accusations of a lack of effort, sideline histrionics, and even costly celebrations. Specific examples cited include unsportsmanlike conduct penalties, a scuffle with a Browns player, and a surprisingly late arrival to the stadium before a game. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin even publicly stated, "He's just got to grow up, man." The article delves into why the Steelers decided to move on from Pickens, and why now. The team had reportedly explored trade partners before the draft but couldn't land the value they wanted at that time. By trading him now, they avoid what could have been a contentious offseason. Pickens was entering the final year of his rookie deal and was eligible for an extension, which the article notes would have been risky and potentially dramatic to negotiate given his past conduct issues. While acknowledging that trading Pickens lowers the ceiling for explosive plays due to his big play ability, the move is framed as one that likely raises the floor by reducing volatility on the offense. The trade leaves a void in the Steelers' receiving core. After previously acquiring DK Metcalf, Pittsburgh is now back to having just one top wide receiver in Metcalf. The depth behind him is considered thin, with Calvin Austin III being the top returning receiver from last season in terms of yardage. While the Steelers also have tight end Pat Freiermuth and new offensive coordinator Arthur Smith has a penchant for using tight ends effectively. The trade aligns with the Steelers' stated goal of a more balanced offense with a strong run game, mentioning their running backs, rather than solely relying on a high-flying passing attack with Metcalf and Pickens. Interestingly, the article also discusses how this move might impact the Steelers' potential pursuit of quarterback Aaron Rodgers in free agency. The report suggests the trade likely doesn't do much to impact the Steelers' recruitment of Rodgers. The Steelers have reportedly remained in communication with Rodgers throughout the offseason and were aware of his personal issues. It's implied that Rodgers was likely aware of the team's plans regarding Pickens. Crucially, the article points out that Aaron Rodgers is notorious in holding his receivers to high standards, particularly when it comes to route running, an area where Pickens has reportedly had issues throughout his career, including not running the correct routes or finishing them. Trading Pickens potentially removes a situation where Rodgers could have been at odds with one of his top offensive weapons, perhaps smoothing the path for his potential arrival. From the Dallas Cowboys' perspective, they are gaining a talented player who fits a specific need. The Cowboys reportedly wanted to add some juice and speed opposite their star receiver CeeDee Lamb. George Pickens' combined speed and his prowess as a vertical threat fit this need well. He ranks third in the NFL in receiving yards on vertical routes since 2022 and was sixth among players with 50 or more catches in yards per reception last season. He provides a new opportunity in Dallas offense under coach Brian Schottenheimer. The article also addresses the Cowboys' reputation for waiting on moves, noting that Pickens only missed the first couple of weeks of their offseason program. While the Cowboys had reportedly wanted to draft Tetairoa McMillan in the first round, but he was taken before their pick. And they generally do not like to pay big dollars in free agency. They had discussions with other teams about receivers, but the trade with the Steelers reportedly came together quicker. Pickens' arrival will most directly impact Cowboys receiver Jalen Tolbert, who served as the WR2/3 last season. Regarding Pickens' contract situation with the Cowboys, the article presents somewhat contrasting points. On one hand, the cost of a third-round pick suggests he can't be a one-year rental. However, an ESPN report cited states the Cowboys do not plan to extend Pickens at this time and expect him to play out the final year of his rookie deal in 2025. This sets up a potential future question, especially as the Cowboys have other key players like Micah Parsons, Jake Ferguson, and Darren Bland also entering the final years of their deals. And there's only one franchise tag available, with CeeDee Lamb already making top dollar, $34 million per year. The Cowboys will have to decide how high they'd be willing to go to keep Pickens long-term compared to addressing other needs. Finally, the article briefly touches on the Steelers' options at wide receiver after trading Pickens. With 3 third-round picks now in next year's draft, they have capital to potentially trade for another veteran receiver, with names like DJ Moore, Brandon Ayuk, if available, and Romeo Doubs mentioned as possibilities. Free agent options like Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper are also discussed as potential fits. In conclusion, the trade of George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Dallas Cowboys is one of the more significant transactions of the NFL offseason. The Steelers moved on from the talented but mercurial receiver due to conduct issues and a desire to reduce offensive volatility, accepting draft capital in return, which impacts their receiving depth behind DK Metcalf but potentially removes a source of conflict for a potential quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. The Cowboys gain a much-needed vertical threat in speed opposite CeeDee Lamb at a reasonable cost for now, addressing a key need, but face complex contract decisions regarding Pickens and other core players in the future. It's a trade that reshapes receiver rooms and impacts key storylines for both franchises heading into the summer. The trade that sent wide receiver George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Dallas Cowboys on Wednesday has significant implications for all three parties involved: the Cowboys, the Steelers, and potentially quarterback Aaron Rodgers. For the Dallas Cowboys, the impact is immediate and largely seen as positive. They acquire the much-needed number 2 wide receiver to pair with CeeDee Lamb. Pickens brings speed and is a proven vertical threat, ranking 3rd in the NFL in receiving yards on vertical routes since 2022. His skill set is considered an excellent fit for the Cowboys' offense, allowing CeeDee Lamb to continue operating effectively from the slot. While Pickens has a history of behavioral concerns, the Cowboys are reportedly planning to let him play out the final year of his rookie contract, making it a somewhat low-risk, one-year evaluation before considering a long-term commitment, which could be complicated by other upcoming contract negotiations. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, trading Pickens means parting ways with a talented and productive playmaker who amassed nearly 3.000 receiving yards in just 3 seasons. While they acquired DK Metcalf earlier this offseason to be their new top receiver, Pickens' departure leaves their wide receiver depth thin behind Metcalf, with Calvin Austin III being their top returning receiver. The Steelers had been exploring trading Pickens prior to the draft, and dealing him now avoids a potentially contentious negotiation regarding a contract extension. Though they gain draft capital, they lose an explosive threat and likely need to explore adding another veteran receiver through trade or free agency. The trade's impact on quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who the Steelers have reportedly been hoping to sign, is a subject of some debate among analysts. Some argue that by weakening the receiving core behind Metcalf, the Steelers are now less attractive to a quarterback like Rodgers, making his recruitment harder to justify. However, others suggest Rodgers was likely aware of the team's plans for Pickens, and his own demanding standards for route running might not have meshed well with Pickens' past inconsistencies in that area. It's possible that while the move lowers the ceiling for explosive plays, it also raises the floor by potentially reducing volatility on the offense, which could still appeal to a veteran quarterback seeking a stable environment, though the need for more weapons around Metcalf remains clear. In summary, the George Pickens trade provides the Cowboys with a needed WR2, creates a void in receiver depth for the Steelers despite gaining draft capital, and has a debated but potentially significant impact on the Steelers' pursuit of quarterback Aaron Rodgers, highlighting the complex roster decisions facing Pittsburgh after the move.